Hi, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, you are going to see probably a pretty long vlog that's going to include primarily two different readathons. So one of them is happening both of them are specific readathons for longer readathons. One of them is Pokethon, the Cerulean Gym, which is happening right now. And the other one at the end of this week is going to be the Peace Talks for Realmathon. So I hope to get a lot of books read. This vlog may just be primarily those weekend 24, 48 hour readathons. So I will talk briefly about the books that I plan on reading during the Cerulean Gym for Pokethon, and then closer to the Peace Talks for Realmathon, I'll talk about the books that I'm going to read specifically during then, because you get bonus points for those. So I have A River Enchanted, Lore Olympus. I'm so glad this came in from the library. I have The Daughter of Ease, I guess it's just a Y-S. I have Baron and Luthien, Omar Rising. So in addition to all of these books that I do hope to get read in one day, there are several self-care prompts, not self-care, like non-book related prompts that include buying a book, they include self-care, they include reading in the shower. So I hope those are all water related, so I hope to catch all of those Pokemon as well. And I am filming this intro after I started the vlog because I wanted to update on different things that I had read for the vlog, but I wasn't awake enough to film an intro. So I will now send you to past Jenny for her thoughts on how the readathon is going. So this is the first update after the intro, which I'm filming at some point in this weekend. I wanted to start filming updates before I got too far in books, and I'm actually almost done with A River Enchanted. This is my Illumicrate edition, and I love this book. I really do. There's some things that bother me, but not enough to not love the book. First off, the book itself, the physical copy, is absolutely gorgeous. And love the way that the pages feel. They're not paper thin. I do not like paper thin pages. But I also don't like weird texture. But these pages, they're thick, and there's something about them that I just really enjoy turning the page. Then the book itself, I love the setting. So the setting is like a fantastical version of Scotland. I've always loved books set in Scotland, books appealing to that sort of idea. So I knew this book had a high chance of capturing my attention. So I started this one last night. It's about 460 some pages, so I knew if I wanted to have a chance of reading this and other books today, I needed to start it last night. I didn't even stop to like switch books to cross stitch and listen to an audiobook because I just wanted to read this, and it just felt so cozy. Now I did fall asleep a couple times, but not because of the book, but because the book made me feel so cozy. I suppose I should say what this book is about. So you start off with Jack. He is returning to the island after 10 years at university. He felt like he was sent away, and he was called back by the Lard. There's a situation where girls are going missing, and they think it's the spirits of the island who are taking them, but there's these warring clans on the island, and there's things going on. I thought that Adira, the heiress, her father's still alive, he's still the Lard. I thought she was going to be a major character, a major POV. She's not. We've gotten like a little bit here and there from her point of view, but the main points of view that we've actually gotten are Jack, and then we've gotten Torin and Sidra. And Torin is Adira's cousin. He is the guard who magically, because of his position, can sense when the Warren clan crosses the boundary line. And Sidra is his wife. the relationship between Torin and Sidra is complicated because Sidra is his second wife, and he married just so that his infant daughter would have a mother because his first wife died in childbirth. And so Sidra believes that Torin has never cared for her. Torin, at first, it was just, you know, someone to take care of his daughter. Their love story in this is absolutely gorgeous. I want them to be the main characters. And Jack. I like Jack. I really like Jack. Adira, I don't know because she hasn't really been around that long, perspective-wise. The love story set up between Jack and Adira feels very insta-lovey. But it hasn't put me off. Like, it fits, but yet it doesn't. Like, I could clearly see that it's insta-love. But it was supposed to be enemies to lover plus insta-love, which makes it complicated. That's the part that's complicated for me. That's the flaws that I can see in the book. But I am loving this book and how it feels like I don't even know what words I want to describe this book, but I'm really enjoying my reading experience and I'm really thankful for it. Plus, there are water spirits in here, so I'm going to count it for water elemental as well. So that's going to be 3 Pokemon caught when I finish this book. So I am going to go finish making my coffee and finish this book. So it's now almost 11. Mom and I haven't gone for a run yet, but I have indeed finished A River Enchanted. I love it. Absolutely love it. Even though the relationship between Adira and Jack starts as very insta-lovey, I really buy it by the end. I think I'll give more in-depth thoughts in my wrap-up on that one. And in the last sprint for the Pokethon gym, I started and finished Lore Olympus. And I didn't know what I would think about this because I'm not a big graphic novel, comics, webtoons sort of reader, and this is a bind up of some successful webtoons. And it started off slow. I wasn't sure what to make of the art style, but then I really started to get into it. I love it. I want the next volume. I probably will purchase this. I'm a fan. So very soon we're gonna go out for a run. That's gonna take up several hours, but when we get back, I should be able to get in another graphic novel and then hopefully read for the rest of the day and catch lots more Pokemon. Okay, so I figured since I've already got everything set up, I would give my next update because I have finished another book and caught another Pokemon. So far, the Pokemon that I have caught, I've caught the entire Squirtle evolution with A River Enchanted, which I loved. I haven't compiled it yet, but it's going to be a very high 4.5 stars, maybe even a 5 stars. Not sure yet. So that's 3 Pokemon caught in the gym with this, and then just 1 with Lore Olympus, which I updated on and am newly obsessed with all of it. It deserves all the hype it's been getting. I also purchased a book. Now, I didn't purchase it today, but the books arrived today, so I'm counting it, and you won't see this video for a while, but one of my newest book box subscription came, and these 2 books were in it. And then there was also one for self-care, and I'm considering all the reading because I love to read, and it was just so enjoyable to read Lore Olympus and A River Enchanted. So I'm counting that as self-care. And I've also caught Vaporeon, which is reading in the shower. So after my long run, I hooked up my phone to my speaker, and so I listened to a little bit more of The Color of Law. Then I finished up the evolution that had the comic, which I'm counting Lore Olympus as a comic because it started as a webtoon. And originally I was going to count this one as a comic, but I'm going to count it as a graphic novel now. It can be stretched both ways. And this is one, when I was at the library, I thought, okay, let me actually go to the comic section to see if I can find something. And I was intrigued by this one. I should have looked at the back. Yeah, those are headless bodies. This is dark. This is really dark. It is a retelling of a Breton myth, which is pre-Roman influence in Great Britain. I'm not a fan of the art style. It's not my favorite. It felt like the first page especially, I'm like, wait, what is he supposed to be doing there? So let me open that up. I could not understand what was going on here. Couldn't understand it. I had to get several pages in to figure out, what is this? What is all around him? Not a fan of the art style, and also, like, it's a morality tale. I think it's as dark as, like, the original Grimm fairy tales. It doesn't have a happy ending either. I mean, I read it, caught a Pokemon with it. Is it a favorite? No. I'm not really sure because I haven't compiled it yet, but at least it was a quick read. It was like half an hour and got it done. Now I'm gonna go warm up my leftovers from yesterday's supper, get some food while I read Omar Rising, and hopefully catch another 2 Pokemon with finishing that. And then I'm gonna leave this one for last. So it's getting close to the end of the day. The Pokethon is put on British time, Greenwich Mean Time, but I am running it on my own 24 hours, like what April 2nd is for me today. So there's the sprints and stuff are ending soon, but I'm gonna consider it until I go to bed tonight. I'm not staying up late. I have read everything on my TBR. I did switch up one book. I've read everything on my TBR so far except for Baron and Luthien. I am 90 pages into this one. Of all the books that I have read thus far for this readathon, this is the slowest. Not to say that I don't enjoy it, it's just the slowest. And it's gonna take me the longest to get through. So I need to get back at it, but I'm playing a little Pokemon, you know, on brand. I have finished Omar Rising. I don't have the dust jacket back on it. Absolutely adorable and fantastic, feel-good book. It doesn't go in depth with a lot of things. It talks about realities that these boys face. It has a good ending, and I like that. Even though, you know, things in quote-unquote real life might not turn out that way, I liked that it turned out that way in this book. And it's heartwarming. So far, I've had only one not so great read of this readathon. I've read River Enchanted, Lore Olympus, Daughters of Ys. Oh, my 5th book. 1 out of 5 is not bad. So we've reached Monday. I didn't update the vlog at all yesterday. I didn't actually do all that much reading yesterday. I read 5 books Saturday. So it makes sense that I didn't do much reading on Sunday. I did finish editing 2 videos, got them up, exported and uploaded. This computer is so slow. It takes forever to export things. I got that done. I did read a little bit. I started Shadow the Fox by Julie Kagawa, and it really intrigues me. It's not what I expected. The prologue is from a perspective that if I had updated before I read this morning, I would have said that we don't see again, but we do see her perspective again, but it's not a huge perspective, at least so far. I'm only 150 pages into it. That was a little bit confusing at first because I thought we were gonna follow the character that was in the prologue, but we're not. And then we get introduced to 2 more characters. One, the female perspective is a Kitsune. I think that's how it's pronounced. She is half fox spirit, and so she has some fox magic. And then we follow, but the male perspective is linked to a demon, and the demon is linked to the sword, and so he had to give up a piece of his soul to link to the sword, and he has to be very careful so that the demon doesn't take him over and his whole order, his clan doesn't get rid of him and do it to somebody else again. And so I've gotten to the point where they've met up, and so a lot of things are probably happening. But it's definitely something that I'm not as familiar with, but I'm very intrigued by it, and I really enjoy the writing so far. I've got about 300 more pages in that to read, and then I am just a handful of minutes away from finishing The Color of Law. I haven't spoken that much about The Color of Law, but it is a book published a few years ago now, I think, because one of the lines says at the time of writing, it's yet to see whether the current administration is going to keep up some policies. And the administration that he was talking about is not the current administration now. It's the former administration. So I'm guessing that it was written around 2017 and published maybe around a little bit later than that. But it's talking about how the government in various forms, laws, policies, zoning, regulations, has segregated America. How so much of that has affected generations, and why people are like, well, they can do whatever they want now, but why are there still problems? But it explains so much. In education, a lot of people talk about the fact that schools are still segregated. And the reason that schools are still heavily segregated in a lot of areas is because of where people live. And that's how zoning for schools goes. Generations, they've lived in these areas. They continue to live in these areas. They were not able to gain the generational wealth to move into different areas. It's fascinating. It is it's short, compact, well put together. I highly recommend it. And it makes me think back to when I worked at a bank during the training times when we had to learn about the FHA, which is the Fair Housing Act, was put into place to sort of counteract a lot of those things. And I remember it being talked about as if redlining's not a problem anymore because we can't do this anymore based on the Fair Housing Act. And yes, they can't actually do that anymore, the redlining, but there's so much stuff that has been built in that has to be overcome. I'm not doing a very good job in summarizing it, but it's a really good book, and it was a really short, compact read. Looking forward, I probably will not have a lot of updates throughout the week. Even when I started this vlog, I forgot about the fact that I have a field trip that I'm taking my students on, a Model UN field trip. So obviously I'm not going to update on that field trip, but it's a shorter field trip than Youth in Government. So just Thursday and Friday. But on Wednesday afternoon, I am taking a couple of my former students up to where the conference is because they're going to work as high school volunteers and they didn't have a ride up there. So I'm not going to be updating on Wednesday or Thursday. I might update on Friday, and I'm going to update tomorrow. So this vlog is mainly going to be the bookended readathons. So it's now Wednesday evening. I have the Model UN conference tomorrow, and I just got back from taking a couple of my former students up to the conference center, an hour and a half away, and back this evening. But I wanted to update because I did use that opportunity to listen to an audiobook. They were occupied in the back seat. I had my headphones on, and then I kept listening on the way back, and I am almost finished with Assassin's Apprentice. So now I get that this is not helping me with my finishing series goals because now I'm starting a 16-book multi-series series, The Realm of the Elderlings, but I really enjoy it. I don't think that Robin Hobb is known for her fast-moving plots because, well, I mean, at least this one does not have a fast-moving plot, and I don't mind that. A lot of things that I've heard say they don't necessarily like being in Fitz's head, but I don't mind it. I love the slow-moving intrigue and the development of Fitz as a person and the different connections and things that he makes. The characters are so well developed. I absolutely love it, and this confirms to me that I am a character-driven reader. I think I might be able to finish it tomorrow. I don't know. Oh, I did read more of Shadow of the Fox. I really want to finish that one. That one, definitely faster moving plot, for sure. They're very different, but I'm enjoying both of them. I got some book mail. One of the first pre-orders that I've done. One of the most recent pre-orders that I've done, but the first pre-order that I've received. And I pre-ordered it after realizing that I really prefer the British versions. My editions won't match when I get them, but, oh wow. And a box. It says, handle with care. Oh my word, I just looked at that sticker. It's a doom slug. Yeah, so you should probably figure out what this is. Love it. Haha. It is the bind up of the 3 Skyward series novellas. I'm really excited. I've read Skyward, loved it. I have not read Starsight, and you're supposed to read these before you read Cytonic, and now I have them, and I'm so excited about that. So I have to come back on, and I'm a dodo. I just realized so I looked at this and I saw 1700, and then I realized, oh, I should open it. It's signed by both Brandon Sanderson and Jancy Peterson, so yay. So checking in at the end of the week. It's now Friday evening, and didn't do a lot of reading Thursday and Friday today because of the Mada UN conference, which went really well. I always love these conferences and getting to help the kids. They're just exhausting. So I didn't do a lot of that. I did get a cool package when I got home. I had seen an unboxing of the Accio box, which was Night Bus themed, and there were so many items in there, all but one that I didn't like. Or, well, I liked it, but didn't necessarily have a use for it. But when I saw the first item that was unboxed, I'm like, yep, gotta have it. So I'm gonna show you 2 of the items. One I've already put in the kitchen because it's a self-stirring mug. I actually love that idea. It's really practical because I put collagen in my coffee in the morning to get a little bit more protein in. And I use like a frother to mix it up, but with this one, it's at the bottom, so I don't even have to use the frother. It's right there on it. So I just wanted to show you these other things. Yes, we've got the blanket, and the pillow of the blanket is so soft, but this is just so fitting for me. I read magical books past my bedtime. It's got symbols for Harry Potter, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, because obviously I don't only read Harry Potter. But this pillow, I happen to have a Christmas pillow, and it fit on there, and it says Lumos on one side and Nox on the other. I just loved it. We're into the time frame for the Peace Talks Readathon portion of Realmathon. I had started All My Rage by Sabaa Tahir. I was looking for the book. I found it. And I read a little bit of that while I was on the conference. I know it's going to be a book that I really enjoy. It's already been really hard hitting. So the setup of this, you've got 2 characters, Sal and Noor. They are both Pakistani, but different generations. Sal is first generation American. His parents were born in Pakistan. Noor was born in Pakistan. Her entire family perishes except for her uncle, who is in America studying in college, and he comes back and actually is the one to pull her out of the rubble. And so she moves when she's about 8 years old to the US. And Sal and Noor were best friends, but at the time of the opening of the story, there was this big, massive fight that had happened. They are no longer friends, but they're still like over a decade worth of friendship. Sal's mother is very sick, some sort of kidney issue. It ends up at the beginning that she passes away. His father has an alcohol problem. When they're there at the hospital, because Noor was the one that stopped in to see Sal's mom, who she considers an aunt. Sal's mom collapses, she takes her to the hospital, and so Noor is there with them, but she doesn't really know how to drive. Sal's dad is drunk and in the waiting room and making a scene, and so Sal has to take him home before like he gets arrested, and so he's not there when his mom dies. And so that's the part that has just happened, and it is so powerful. I knew I would really love this book, but however, I am going to set that aside, and I'm going to pick up my Realmathon books to get extra points during Peace Talks. So I'll go over those books in my next update. Okay, coming in for a quick update. Just finished my run. Need to go take a shower. But I wanted to show my highly ambitious TBR, but when do I make others, for the weekend of Peace Talks. I don't think I'll come anywhere close to getting the number of books read that I did for the Pokethon gym, just because I did have 2 graphic novels and a middle grade on that one, and these are all substantial. And I did organized them in this stack by length. So here is the stack. Elantris is at the bottom because it's just a Cassidy fave. It's not necessarily one with bonus points, but the rest of these are at least polar fantasy, but some of them are also military fantasy, which is why I'm prioritizing them. I have started Bear and the Nightingale. The only thing I've known about this before going into it is that it's very character driven, well, not even character driven, but vibe driven, and there's not a lot of plot. And I am about halfway through, and I agree with that. I haven't fallen head over heels for it though, but I do enjoy the vibes. I think it's great. I love the more historical aspect to this. I'll give more thoughts about this probably once I finish. Then I have A Wolf for a Spell. This is that the Goodreads one that I got through Interlibrary Loan. Echo North, The Wolf and the Woodsman. This one I know is military and polar fantasy. Spinning Silver and Elantris, which I already told you. So these are all, with Bear and the Nightingale being the shortest, this is 318 pages. So all the rest of them are above 350. I think A Wolf for a Spell will read quicker because it's YA. We'll see how many I can get done and get those bonus points for the weekend, and then I will return to reading All My Rage. But I will hopefully wrap up this vlog at the end of this weekend of Peace Talks, and then just give a brief overview of the books that I read in this reading vlog. Hey, it is Saturday evening and I am checking back in. I have not only finished The Bear and the Nightingale, but I have also finished A Wolf for a Spell. I've basically been reading nonstop. I was going to participate in sprints, but then I'm like, no, I'll just keep reading. So Bear and the Nightingale, about 3/4 of the way through, I'm like, hey, this is fine. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to read the rest of the trilogy. And honestly, I think this could be a standalone. However, plot really picks up in the last quarter, and I really enjoyed it. This one a lot darker than I expected based on people's reviews of it and how lyrical, like the atmosphere it created. So I didn't expect that, especially when things are starting to go towards the climax of things. Is the rest of the series at the top of my priority list? No. Will I probably finish the rest of the series? Yes. A Wolf for a Spell, absolutely loved it. This, I remembered, is not YA, it's middle grade, although it could be considered young YA. However, I think this fits really well in middle grade, and I thought everything was adorable. And there's illustrations in it that I did not expect. I'm gonna see if I can find one real quick. And a lot of them were half pages, some of them were full spreads. Like this one is a half page spread, but I loved the artistry. I thought it was fantastic. All of the characters, Nadia, Zima, even Baba Yaga, I thought this was fantastic. I love the fact that I finally requested it from the library, the Interlibrary Loan, and got it, and it definitely fits for polar fantasy. So, and now I'm not gonna get up and get it, but I have started on Echo North. I'm really enjoying these different polar fantasies that I'm reading. However, a lot of the same things keep coming up in them. So like wolves are in pretty much everything, which is kind of funny because the next book on my list, The Wolf and the Woodsman. So I love the fact that I have 2 books down for realmathon Peace Talks. I'm gonna go enter them in, maybe watch a little bit of BookTube, and then I hope to finish minimum Echo North and The Wolf and the Woodsman, because The Wolf and the Woodsman counts as both polar and military fantasy. So I am back to wrap up this reading vlog. It ended up being about 8 days, so about a week, just a day more than a week. I didn't intend necessarily to wrap it up now, but I've decided something that might be a first for me, and that is an actual DNF, The Wolf and the Woodsman. I tried. So I'm gonna take this bookmark out now. It's about 125 pages. I could not get into it. So the setup for this book is that the main character lives in a village where The women all have sort of these magical gifts, but she doesn't. Every so often, the Woodsmen will come by to take some woman from the village to serve their purposes, and they never end up coming back. And her mother, 10 years before, had been taken by the Woodsmen. But she has no gifts. She doesn't think that she will be taken by the Woodsmen because they always take the ones with the magical gifts. The seer who had raised her since her mother was taken has a vision, sees that they're coming for the next seer in the village, and decides to dye her hair white, which is a sign of a seer, and give her up instead of the actual seer. And then there's supposed to be some sort of bargain between her and the captain of the Woodsmen. The Woodsmen are the one that take the women because monsters in the forest kill everybody except for her and the captain. It sounds like a premise that could work. I never really gelled with it. The writing didn't feel flowery or choppy. It just felt like a lot. Felt like a thick mouthfeel, even though you're reading it. And on top of that, when you got to the part where the monsters are coming after the group of woodsmen plus the girl, the wolf girl, it got really gross. And even right before that, because one of the woodsmen had tried to attack her, and so as punishment, the captain chops his arm off. But just some of the descriptions, and then, you know, there's more of this just throughout, and I just thought, no, it's not really for me. I don't need this level of gore in a book. I don't need it. Things can be serious and hard-hitting and have real-life consequences without all of this. I made the decision, I am DNFing that book. So that means that I ended up reading 3 books for the realmathon Peace Talks. And before I do a final vlog wrap-up, I want to talk about the 3rd book that I read because I don't think that I've updated at all. This is a new favorite. This might be close to an all-time new favorite. Having this book come on the heels of this one, I'm like, no, you can go. You can just go. I don't want you anymore. This is amazing. I absolutely love this book. So Echo is the main character of this book, and when she was young, she was out in the woods, near the woods, and came across a wolf that had gotten stuck, a very large wolf that had gotten its leg trapped, a bear trap. Even though it's dangerous, she goes and she frees the wolf, but in his pain or whatever, he lashes out at her and let's like swipes across her face. So she is visibly scarred. And there's a lot that comes with that throughout as she's growing up. People looking down on her, people treating her harshly. She has the undying love of her father and brother. Her mother died when she was born. Then her father decides to remarry. And you got the wicked stepmother trope. This woman does not like Echo at all. She thinks she's of the devil simply because she has scars. Like, I don't know what's wrong with people to think that. But that's what a lot of the villagers and what the stepmother thinks. But she spends so extravagantly that they go into debt. And so the father has to go, he's selling everything. He's a bookseller. And he has to go somewhere far away to sell his manuscripts to pay off the debt. Then he doesn't come back for a very long time. And she's determined that he hasn't died, and she goes out to search for him. And in the search for him, she finds him half frozen to death. If this sounds like Beauty and the Beast, that's because this is a retelling of the same tale that Beauty and the Beast is a retelling of. She ends up coming in contact once again with that wolf who scarred her originally. Through a very convoluted series of things that happened, she ends up pledging herself to him for a year to save her father. And then all sorts of things happen throughout the year with this magical house where the rooms are sort of stitched together. I could not put this book down. When I was compiling it, I went through each of the categories and went, can I give this a 10 for everything? I ended up not giving it a 10 for everything, but it's a very high, close to perfect score 5-star read for me. The way that Joanna Ruth Meyer builds the characters of Echo, of Wolf, of these people that Echo meets in the books in the library, and it's brief tangent before I get back to what she's talking about, the characters. This library, the books, they're not typical books like this. They are mirror books, meaning you can go into the book and experience all of these things. That's where she meets Hal and she meets Moskov. At least I think that's how it's pronounced. The way that Meyer builds the characters throughout is phenomenal. The way that she weaves everything together at the end and then the reveal at the very end. Oh my word, I loved it so much. Obviously, I'm not going to say anything because spoilers. This book is amazing. I did not expect to love this book, but hands down, this is one of the best books I have read this year. On that awesome note, I'm going to wrap up this vlog. In the first part of the vlog, I started with the Cerulean Gem for Pokethon, and I read these books plus 2 library books that I returned. Then during the week, I read 3 more. 2 of them I do not have physical copies of. I read The Color of Law on audiobook. I read Assassin's Apprentice on audiobook, and I also read Shadow of the Fox on ebook. And then for the weekend of Peace Talks, I read Bear and the Nightingale, A Wolf for a Spell, and Echo North, and then had my first character growth for myself as a reader, my first DNF, my first real DNF. In these 8 days, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 books. 10 books in 8 days. I like that rate. It might slow down, it might not, because I have a long weekend coming up. Because of Easter, I have Friday and Monday off, so who knows? Maybe I'll read a lot more. Thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one.